And I'm back. So, this is day number 2 of my 100-day challenge. And I just have a quick question for those. In fact, actually, thank you for those of you who've actually seen yesterday's live stream. And some of you actually gave very supportive and very nice comments. So, thank you very much. I didn't know that I had an audience yesterday. And again, like I said, totally unplanned. I kind of didn't realize I was rambling for about 10 minutes, but I guess it was also just a quick way of getting it out of the door, and just get going, right? That's actually the whole intention of this 100-day challenge for myself. And thank you for one of my primary school mates who said that she liked the muscle analogy. So actually, I got just to add on to that analogy, right? The simple thing is, I just have a question for all of you. What is harder than hitting the gym for the first time or the first day? The answer is hitting the gym on the second day, right? Now, I mean, when we go to the gym for a workout, usually that is the case. You psych yourself up, you make yourself go there for the first time, and you're there for the first time, right? The first day, maybe after a long while, a long hiatus, you have not done any exercise for a long time. The problem is always the second time, because after the first day, you're aching, and the second day, it is much harder to push yourself there, right? So same thing here, like today, I was just thinking, should I do it? Should I not? Of course, I was quite determined to get this set of live stream muscles going. So I told myself, yes, I would do it. I also thanked another friend who said, what time am I coming on tonight? And I kind of said 10 p.m. Seems to feel like a nice time for me. Wrap up the day and just get this done, right? So it's going to be a work in progress. I really do not know how far this will go and how long it will run on. I mean, as in each time I do live, what is the timing that I go? I do have another regular podcast, but that is with another friend of mine, and I'm more like the interviewer. He's more like the content person. So for that particular podcast, when we got going as well, we started with like fairly short episodes, but over time it has become a bit more fleshed out, and it's running roughly about 30-40 minutes each time, and we try and put out content that is beneficial for people out there, right? So like I said yesterday, just yesterday was more formal. Today I really am more relaxed, t-shirt and cap, and just wanted to do that just in case you didn't notice. I'm not going to be wearing a jacket every time. It's going to be mostly informal most of the time, right? So in fact today I did something else as well, and then again it's about improvement, constant improvement. So I actually wrote down some show notes, some ideas of what I wanted to talk about. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was, what are our growing up ambitions, I remember when I was growing up, I had a few things I wanted to become when I grew up. Don't laugh at me, yeah? One of my earliest ambitions I remember was that I wanted to grow up to be a superhero. I think that was like before 6 or 7 years old, right? I kind of had this ambition, right? I mean, when you were young, we always have these things. I wanted to grow up to be a superhero. Obviously, after a while, I realized that it's not possible, right? Or not in that sense of the comic book world superhero. So that was out of the way. And then the next thing that I kind of wanted to grow up to become was I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to be a research scientist, right? Kind of found it interesting to wear a white lab coat and look into beakers and bottles and test tubes and find things to perhaps help the world and change the world, right? Again, that didn't happen, I realized during my secondary school days when I was doing biology as a subject, I didn't quite like blood. It's not that I would faint at the sight of blood, I just didn't quite like it. So that was again out of the window. Yeah, but what I wanted to share about this is that all throughout my whether it's childhood or teenage years, I've never ever imagined this is what I would be doing. Or for example, I've never imagined that I would be like in a way doing some kind of something like close to being a DJ in a sense. I was just thinking that the biggest challenge I would have for the next, now it's 98 days left, right? Would actually be content. And I have a very good, I have a second, a JC friend who is actually a DJ, and now I kind of respect what she do every day now, because coming up with content, regular content on a regular basis, on a daily basis, in fact, I think that would be probably one of my most challenging things for the next 98 days on. So this is day number 2 of a 100-day challenge. I have nailed 2 days, that would be thing. But I also think that at the end of the whole thing, it will also be interesting for me, because when I collate everything together, it might be a body of content that is interesting, or at least for myself, right? So I'm kind of looking forward to it. Now, of course, part of this exercise is for me to develop in a certain arena that I want to. But at the same time, I also hope that I can bring some value to whoever is listening. So this is set as public. This live stream is set as public. So obviously my friends on Facebook will be able to see it. And I'm guessing sometimes it will be seen in a public arena as well. Now, there are certain things that we can do to maximize the outreach of a live stream, but I'm not doing that yet, right? Because I think I am still at the stage where I'm trying to kind of set certain things up, So I've kind of started it without setting those things up already. So in this case, I don't need to do those activities or action to kind of maximize the outreach of this live stream. And that's the whole idea. So there are certain things we can do, and I may talk about that as we go along, because I think this year has been a very interesting year, and a lot of people are transitioning into something a little bit more like this. And also, thankfully, we have access to something like this. So today, I'm actually still using Zoom to live stream to several other platforms at the same time. I'm using Zoom to run this setup now, and then I'm using a service called Restream.io. So along the way, I will probably explore some of these things that are being used to bring this out to an audience, and hopefully that may help some of you who maybe need to transition from face-to-face meetings with people, or you need to find a way to deliver content, and hopefully what I share can be helpful for you as well. I'm not saying I'm an expert at it. It's just that I've been doing this for a while. Although we don't do live streams, but we do have something like this on a regular basis. So everything that you see here has been set up during this. So I'm currently now in KL. I've been here for a while, and during the MCO period, I took the opportunity to set things up for a transition to this, right? So that's why it is like that now. I didn't start off like this. So these were like bits and pieces of equipment and gear that was purchased along the way to get to where I am now. So I'm going to just maybe share a little bit of that journey so that you can help another person who may need to make that transition as well. So tonight I kind of thought that I will go through perhaps the first thing that I mentioned the other day, yesterday I mean, about okay, I don't intend to do like a review show. I know there are lots of these kind of programs on YouTube where people, they do unboxing, and they do like very technical reviews of equipment, electronic gear, tech gear. There are lots of people like that. I don't intend to do that kind of show, right? That's not my intention. I probably would share some of these things that I know, but it's more like a application side of it, and I'm not going to go through the full gamut of like what are the specs and everything, because plenty of videos you can find out there. I might, if you want to know, please hit me up, private message me. I can send you the I can send you the links to those people that I have followed, on say YouTube, for example, to learn about things like microphones and all that, right? It's just that perhaps because I've spent the time to digest those information and assimilate that information and kind of implemented it in my own setup, right? Sometimes when I talk to friends, I kind of give them a distilled version, right? So makes it faster. So tonight I kind of just wanted to talk a little bit about, when we do video and live streams and stuff like that. Typically, obviously, when I first started, I just open up my MacBook Air. I will just use the MacBook Air, and I use the onboard camera and the onboard microphone, right? Which was good enough, right? So the point is, whenever we do something, right, always start with whatever you have first, and then along the way you can improve on it, right? And so even with the onboard camera and the onboard microphone, you can get pretty good results, right? There's just a few things you need to watch out for. For example, raising up the MacBook a little bit so that you look at more at eye level. That will actually look better for you. And because it's a webcam or it's a onboard camera on the MacBook, right? It is not a big sensor. It doesn't have a larger aperture for letting light in, right? The next best thing you can do for yourself if you're just using that kind of setup, right, is to make sure you're well lit. Make sure you have enough light, and then that would improve how you look. Many times when you see people using that setup and they don't look as good as they can be, it's because they don't tweak the little bit of things that they can actually do easily. So make sure you're in a place where there's enough lighting for you, so that will actually improve even the webcam that is on the computer or laptop. That's one. And then, but more important than that is that usually people are quite forgiving for poor video. So for example, like today, if I use a normal webcam, most people are more forgiving of a poor video quality versus poor audio quality, right? Especially if you're doing something that can go on for at least half an hour or maybe even a longer presentation. What is important is that people are less forgiving if the sound is bad. For example, if you have all kinds of rattling sound or hiss or whatever inside the mic, that is probably going to turn people off faster than if the video wasn't as clear or sharp or something like that, right? So that was what I've always known. And so as a result, when I embarked on this journey, transitioning from face-to-face meetings with people to something like more like this, the first thing I wanted to improve was audio, right? And I didn't end up getting this right away. I moved along the way. So along the next few episodes, I might basically go through some of these things and how you can actually tweak what you have, right? So again, like I said, there's no need to run out now and buy all these things. It doesn't mean that. You can do very well with whatever existing gear you have, right? So onboard camera, onboard microphone. Now, even for the onboard microphone, right? The few things you can do is, number one, get yourself into a quieter space, right? Less surrounding noise and all that. That would probably help, right? And number two, you can also put some soft things or fabric stuff around you so that it doesn't have such a huge reverb in the room, in the setting that you are in. And that also will improve even the onboard microphones and the onboard cameras that you have, right? Now, then of course, after that, if you do want to improve the game or improve your game, then buying an external microphone would be the first step, right? Would be one of the first steps. So tonight I just wanted to talk very quickly about two things you need to know when you want to pick up an external microphone, right? It's not at all in any way comprehensive, but basically microphones can be divided into two kinds. One is what we call a condenser microphone, and another one is what we call a dynamic microphone, right? So this thing you see here, this is what is known as a dynamic microphone, and something like this, okay? This is the Shure MV51. This is actually a condenser microphone. Now, what's the difference? Condenser microphones condenser microphones like this is actually more sensitive. It will pick up practically everything that is near to it, and usually it will pick up a lot more of the room sound. And sometimes even if you have neighbors with a dog barking, it might pick it up. Or if you're near a highway and the cars are coming by regularly, it might also pick it up. So there's no good or better in terms of this microphone. It's just you just need to understand the characteristics, right? So for example, a condenser microphone like this, while it is more sensitive, some people do like it more because it makes your voice sound a little bit it can cut through the noise, so it's a bit higher pitch in the sense. Some of them are, not all, okay. And also because it usually can be plugged into a computer more directly. There are a lot of condenser mics that come with a USB connection. You can just connect to your laptop and then it works like that. Now, but the thing is, for condenser mics to sound even better, you kind of need to treat your room. That means if you can cut down the reverb or the echo in the room, putting things that will absorb some sound, that means you basically have to treat the room, right? So a lot of times condenser microphones tend to be used more in a studio setting where people have actually really treated the room for sound, and that will sound great, in that kind of setting, right? Then this kind of microphone here that you see here is called a dynamic mic, and dynamic microphones typically only pick up sound just right in front of them, right? So it is less likely to be picking up, my neighbor's dog barking or the cars on the highway and stuff like that. Or even more importantly, a lot of times when we do live streams like this, right? Usually, like right now, if you see my hand here stretched out, that's where my MacBook is. Sometimes when you are running multiple applications, when you're doing a live stream or doing a Zoom, for example, the computer fans will kick in, right? Because it's trying to cool down the processor. Now, so a condenser microphone like this is likely to pick up even the fan noise, right? But a microphone like this, especially when it's pointed, where my microphone is, this is pointed at me and this is pointing towards the computer, right? Is not likely to pick up the fan noise, right? So I was just helping a friend recently to pick up some gear for. He also wanted to do more live streams and more online meetings. My first question to him is actually very simple, right? What is your use case? A lot of times we just need to understand what's the use case and then what is the budget, right? I actually helped two friends to do this. So depending on your use case, then I can kind of advise on what is the right equipment to buy, right? And so that's the basic difference. So for dynamic microphones like this, typically you need to connect it to an audio interface, okay, which basically is kind of like a sound card. So for example, that means I can't connect this directly to my computer and then you can hear sound. It doesn't quite work that way. And usually you kind of need to have something to bring up the levels because it's a bit quieter. So if I speak the same level and I don't do anything to this mic, you can't really hear me. So right now there are certain things that is driving up the volume a bit more. But it also means that there are a lot more things you can do with a microphone like this. Okay. So sorry. I mean, this is just me geeking out, right? I know some of my friends laugh at me because they know I kind of geek out sometimes. But in life, I think one of the good things is that you do things that give you joy, right? And over the past couple of months, because of this lockdown situation and being able to play around and improve the game, right? It actually was a fun thing for me, right? It was fun, right? So researching on the different kind of microphones to get the different kind of interface, then even some of the settings to make the broadcast or the presentation online to sound a bit better than it used to be. it was fun, right? A lot of tweaking, a lot of experimentation, and so on. So I will share some of these things that I picked up along the way. Hopefully it will benefit some of you. So tonight, that's what I just wanted to share, quick one, right? Because I don't want to run, I don't want to make it into like 40 minutes or an hour live stream. I kind of think for start, maybe about 15 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, for a start. I honestly don't know. It might, over time, when the 100th episode might be a super long one, right? And I welcome your feedback, and I welcome your comments, and I welcome your questions. If you are like me now, as in you are like me now when I was a few months back, starting this journey of wanting to get better equipment, better gear, because you need to transition, then I'm happy to answer some of your questions. I can help. If I can help you, I'll be more than happy to, right? I think end of the day, the reason why we do all these things is because if you have a message to share, right? I mean, obviously, if you're doing some form of online meetings, you have a message to share to someone, right? And if you can get the message in a much clearer, much better sounding way, then perhaps the message can be better received, and that can help whoever you are trying to help or interact with. I think that's always a good thing, right? So what I did over the past couple of months, honestly, was to bring that level up, right? I think the term to use is production value. So while when we started, we didn't, like I said, I just used my computer, MacBook Air, and the onboard camera and onboard microphones, and then we focus on content. But along the way, it was always about improving the production value, right? I'm always amazed and super impressed by some of the YouTubers, those who really literally do YouTube for a living. The production value that they have is amazing, really, really amazing. But I have no aspirations to become a YouTuber. But I just thought that if I can increase the production value of whatever we were doing, basically improving the sound, improving the quality of the video and so on, and then if that can help to get the message that we're trying to convey across better, then I think I've succeeded, right? Yeah, so that was my journey, choosing between. So I actually did start with a condenser microphone first. This one is actually pretty good. It's called the MV51, Shure MV51. This is also a Shure. This is a Shure SM7B. Some of you, if you watch a lot of YouTube or podcasts, those video podcasts, you probably will see this microphone used quite often. It's not the only mic to buy. There are a lot of other options around. In fact, I am contemplating picking up a Lewitt 440 Pure. It's another condenser, but just to test it out, right? That's something I'm on my mind. So if I do get it, I'll test it out for all of you to see the difference. Yeah. So yeah. And I think that's just wraps up this episode. So you know now, you know that if you did not know this before, hopefully this has helped you. There's a condenser type of microphones, which means you need to treat your room. And then there are these kind of microphones that do not need to treat the room so much, but it is a little bit more elaborate because you have other gears that you need. For example, like you have this cable that you need to buy, right? And then you may also need this silver thing here, which I'll talk about in another episode, right? Just to get this to work the way it's supposed to work. So because it's on Zoom, I think over the next few days, I may transition to another platform to do this. Because right now on Zoom, I can't really see if there are comments or people are typing in questions, right? So that's not ideal for live stream, right? But again, like I said, just getting things out of the way or just getting into the habit. So this is like day 2, and hopefully by day, maybe not 100, but along the way, you all will see some improvements. And in fact, today I just signed up for a service that I will share about as well. It is for this kind of live presentations. I think there's a lot of potential in it. I will use that in another one of these live streams. So if you hopped on live to watch this, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Hope whatever I shared was helpful in some way. If you watch this on replay, feel free to comment. Feel free to leave questions. I will do my best to answer them if there's something that you need to know, right, about certain things. And while I may talk about gear in some episodes, I won't talk about gear in all episodes, right? So just like I said, I think one of the biggest challenge over the next remaining 98 days would be content. If you have topics you're interested in, you may want to leave it down as well. So I may talk about those things too, right? I mean, if I know anything about those things, or I am also thinking of asking some of my friends to come online together and do kind of an interview style, because I have a lot of friends who are experts in so many fields, and I think their wealth of knowledge can really benefit the greater world out there. So I may get some of them to come online, share their wisdom, share their experience, and maybe that can bring value to you as well. So as of now, I'm kind of thinking that I will keep it to a 10 p.m. thing for now. But again, nothing is cast in stone. I might change it. I'll let you know in the comment section if we do change it. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you everyone. If you have watching this, I'll see you tomorrow. Day number 3 usually should be a bit easier. The Chinese says, if you have 1, you have 2, then you have 3, right? So tomorrow should be easier. Bye.